All right, so let's call out some highlights about how that went. Okay, I'd like to point out first that when we were doing I have the home wish list. So when I was asking Matt and Amanda about the type of property they want, location, price, why are we doing this? Notice how many times I said, "Tell me more about that. Why is that important to you?" Sometimes the person that you're talking to, they don't even know why it's important. They think they want a big yard because their friend had a big yard and they think that looks cool, but they don't actually need a big yard. In our example, they said several times that they want to be kept away from people, so a big yard is actually pretty important, and we dove down to why. Amanda also opened by talking about how they need a bigger house. I mean, a bigger house, bigger than what? I have no idea. What's a big house to Amanda? I mean, for all I know, she has a huge budget, needs a 6,500 square foot house. That could be bigger to some people, that could be not bigger to others. It's not always in terms of square feet either. You describe the house, which turned into finished basement and storage to run a basement, storage to run a business. You only know that stuff by digging. So that when I search on my own time for the right property, I know exactly what they're looking for, and I'm not gonna be sending them nonsense that doesn't matter, because now I have a crystal clear idea of what they need. So that's how you win, in my opinion, that's how you win with a buyer.
It's not, you can always drill down further.
Always
You're
further.
never gonna drill down too far.
Right.
So when in doubt, ask more questions.
Absolutely.
When you get caught up, ask more
Ask
questions.
Yeah, we say a lot that
All the time.
we
Just
say
ask questions.
we use the line a lot that when people don't know what to say, they say more.
No,
And I don't
ask another
understand
question.
that. You ask questions and let you guys talk. You guys did most of the talking at the beginning. I didn't talk until I had to explain something. And honestly, if this was anything other than a mock, we could have kept going and going and going. I would have drilled for hours until I felt like I had found something. And I can spend an hour on this page alone.
Yeah.
So then we did that, and then I did I went through my process. Now, admittedly, I went through the consultation that I prepared in command. Admittedly, I went through that pretty quickly for the sake of a video. Mine is about 17 pages. It does include some stuff about me, like my resume, so to speak, some terms that they need to know, some process documents, and I do think it's important to go through the process. I went through the process quickly. I would usually be more slow, but video's sake, we did that. And I also mentioned that they can review this stuff at home. Now, I would love it if they were comfortable signing now. So I mentioned if you'd like to sign now, that's great. If you want to review it at home, that's fine. It's about their process, it's not my process. So if you guys wanted to review it, I feel like I could cost myself the business by like, hey, don't you guys want to sign this today? No, I know you want to leave, but don't you want to sign this? It's not a great experience for people. So I'm kind of, in that moment, I'm kind of fishing for what are they comfortable with. If they're ready to sign, I've got the pen, let's go. But if they want to review at home, that's cool too.
And that will come with experience. You're gonna learn when to push, when not to push.
Right. I do think one other thing that's worth repeating is repeating. Because I said back a lot of stuff to them that they said to me. And I was basically reciting what I was writing on that wish list. Like, okay, you want this because this, because this, because this. And I stated my intentions that, hey, I'm gonna come back to this and make sure that, we're still on target. Because as great as Matt and Amanda may be, I don't want to show them 90 houses. That's terrible. And if we don't all three have a crystal clear vision of what we're looking for and talk about it as it stays the same and talk about it as it changes, then this is gonna be a miserable process.
And the number one complaint buyers have about their agents, if you go on like the NAR website and look when they've done surveys, clients will complain that their agents send them houses that they don't want.
Yeah.
And it's usually because the agents didn't ask them what they were looking for. So if we know for a fact we do not want a raised ranch, every time Dave sends us a raised ranch, it's gonna piss off Amanda. And she might not say it to him, and I might not say it to him, but we may be looking going, this guy just doesn't get it. He's always sending us garbage.
Right.
It's not fitting what we want, and he might not have known that Amanda absolutely hates a raised ranch.
Which is true in real life.
But it's that to me is a fireable offense. Like imagine going to a car dealership and being like, I don't care what it is, I just can't have leather interior. And then you bring me a car to test drive that has leather interior. It's like, I told you one thing. That's an incredibly frustrating consumer experience, and make no mistake, our job is to provide a fantastic consumer experience. The last stuff that we went over, so there were two documents we had to talk about. The mandatory real estate relationship disclosure. The most important part of the mandatory relationship disclosure is that it's mandatory. Got to do that. You are obligated to explain the relationship to the client and have them sign that. If they don't sign it, there is a spot for you to sign that says they refused. But you gotta do that part.
And as an admin side, I look for that for every closing, so if you made it through and you closed everything, but you don't have this, you will have me bothering you for it to get paid.
Which I assure you was terrible.
And
So-
the important thing, one more thing with this is
Yes.
this is not a Realtor rule or regulation. This is one of the few forms that is state law. So if you don't have this signed before the first showing, you can lose your license.
Right,
This is actually supposed to be signed before the first conversation to discuss
that's
real
exactly
estate.
right, yeah. So, like, this is about the earliest time.
Yeah, it should be signed.
Yeah. And then lastly, I went over the buyer representation agreement. The thing about these is that it sets forth, among other things, it sets forth what you expect to be compensated, how you expect to be compensated, and I always say permission and blessing. I want your permission and blessing to include that in offers. I would like to point out how confidently I stated my compensation. I was like 2.5, hoping that they would say yes, right? I confidently stated, this is what I charge, this is what I'm worth, let's pay more. It could have been 3, it could have been 2, it could have been 10, it could have been apples. Probably for the sake of a video, we probably should have said anything but
It's
apples.
okay.
2.5 apples, that's what I'm charging.
Number one rule, don't negotiate with yourself.
Yeah,
I see a lot of agents do that, where they start negotiating and the clients aren't even asking for a reduction. And the agents are already like, it's 2.5, but I'll do it for 2.
But
And if you don't like the 2, I'll do it for 1.5.
right,
Don't do that.
right, you already cost yourself
Yeah.
thousands of dollars that you
Yep.
didn't have to. And frankly, I like the "This is America" line. Nobody works for free in America. They expect to pay you, they expect you to get paid anyway. Nobody thinks we're doing this for free, and you should be able to state that confidently. And then, of course, because real estate has changed how it works over the last several months, that part bears explaining too, because these guys have bought a house before, according to our role play here. So they're used to the old way. So I had to spend a little bit more time. I explained it differently because you gave me that answer. And through their, I mean, you weren't really objecting, but through the objections, through the questions that they had for me, I had to further explain how this works. The whole lawsuit came about because agents were not explaining how this worked in a transparent way.
And that's why I brought up the whole, our last agent was free. Because that's what most people remember, is that buyer's agents were free.
Right.
And we were never free.
You were never free.
Never free.
So those are some thoughts on how to give the presentation, the paperwork that goes into it, how you should say it, why you should say it, where and when you should say it, all that stuff. We're here with any of your questions, so come find us.